Backrooms. Chapter 1 NoClip. Michael had heard the rumors, the eerie internet myth known as the Backrooms. A place outside reality, entered by accident, full of yellowed hallways, the buzz of dying fluorescent lights, and the smell of mold and carpet glue. Everyone joked about it online, another piece of digital folklore. Until it became real. It started as a normal day. Michael, a software tester in his late 20s, had been exploring a bug in a VR prototype at his company. A glitch. An invisible wall that the simulation couldn't render correctly. The moment he stepped through, reality folded. Not dramatically, there was no flash or fanfare. 1 second he was in the test room. The next, he was in a room with dull yellow wallpaper, humming lights, and stained carpet. No windows. No doors back. Just hallways that turned endlessly. He panicked at first, screaming for his co-workers. No answer. His smartwatch had stopped ticking. The Wi-Fi was gone. His phone flickered uselessly between red static and a time display frozen at 11:11. The air smelled wrong. He started walking. Chapter 2, Level 0. Every corridor looked the same. No matter how far Michael walked, he found the same yellow walls, same low ceiling, same buzzing lights. Occasionally, he thought he heard footsteps, soft, dragging footsteps. But every time he turned a corner, nothing was there. He marked a wall with a pen. An hour later, he passed it again. No. No, 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 he muttered. The looping hallways defied logic. Worse, the hum of the lights started to feel alive. Like it pulsed. Like it watched. Michael sat down and tried to breathe, tried to ground himself. He spoke out loud, just to hear something other than silence and static. Okay. It's a dream. It's just a dream. The lights dimmed slightly. He stood again. He wasn't alone. Something was in the walls. Chapter 3, Entity 0.2. Michael walked deeper into the maze, not by choice but because he feared what might happen if he stopped. Hunger gnawed at him. Time felt disconnected, he couldn't tell if minutes or hours passed. Then he saw it. A flicker at the edge of his vision. A tall, dark figure that seemed to stretch unnaturally, just out of focus. When he turned to face it directly, it was gone. But its presence lingered. It started following him. Not fast. Not loud. But constantly. Every time he rested, it crept closer. A shape just barely visible past the next corner. Its limbs wrong. Its face non-existent. Michael ran. At first with purpose, then just with desperation. His breath burned. His legs ached. Finally, he found a stairwell. A rusty door with faded letters. Level 1 access. He didn't hesitate. He opened the door and descended. Chapter 4, Level 1, The Warehouse. Level 1 was darker. No wallpaper. Instead, vast concrete rooms filled with pipes, pillars, and metal shelves stacked with boxes, most empty. Flickering lights above cast long, shifting shadows. But for the first time, Michael found something human, a half-eaten granola bar. Someone had been here. He followed a trail, cans, wrappers, shoe prints in dust. And then he heard a voice. Stop. Don't come closer. A girl, maybe early 20s, stood holding a metal pipe. Her eyes were wild. Her clothes were layered and dirty. She looked like she'd been surviving here for weeks. I'm not here to hurt you, Michael said. Please, I don't know how I got here. She hesitated, lowered the pipe slightly. You NoClipped? I guess. She sighed, shoulders slumping. Then you're stuck. Like me. Her name was Riley. She'd fallen into the back rooms a month ago from a hotel elevator malfunction. She knew things about the levels, the entities, the rules. "You've already been marked," she told him. "It saw you. That thing in level 0. It never forgets." Michael looked around, fear creeping deeper into his bones. "Can we escape?" Riley met his eyes. "No. But we can keep going. We survive by the pipeways." Michael and Riley journeyed deeper into the warehouse until they came to a sliding door with red tape over the handle. Riley pulled it aside and motioned him in. "Level 2. Don't talk loud. Don't stop walking." The space was suffocating, tight corridors lined with steaming pipes, droning machines, and rust-covered valves. The heat was unbearable, and the air reeked of metal and oil. Every few minutes, something banged loudly from deep within the pipe network. Riley whispered, "Level 2 is infested with crawlers. Don't shine your light on them. Don't let them hear you breathe." Michael felt a lump in his throat. "What are crawlers?" As if on cue, they heard it, a low, wet slithering noise. Something was dragging itself through the vents above them. Riley pointed her flashlight at the floor and kept moving. Michael followed, heart pounding. The pipe maze twisted endlessly. The path forked and reconnected like a labyrinth. Once, they had to crawl through a vent, only to emerge into a boiler room where the temperature nearly knocked them out. Then came the scream. A voice, deep, guttural, not quite human, echoed through the halls. Riley pulled Michael into a shaft and shut the hatch. "Hold your breath." Something passed just beyond the metal door. Heavy breathing. Sniffing. Then silence. They waited 5 minutes before moving again. Chapter 6, The Heat. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time was meaningless in level 2. They found a storage closet with canned food and water bottles. Riley divided it carefully. "Don't eat too fast," she warned. "We might not find more until level 4. Michael noticed her hands were shaking. "You okay?" She nodded but looked away. "Just tired. Tired of being hunted." Michael leaned against the wall, sweat pouring off him. "Why do we keep going?" "Because going back is worse." He thought about level 0. About the thing in the walls. The feeling of being watched. He nodded slowly. Then forward. They crawled through another service tunnel until they reached a rusted elevator with one button, a downward arrow marked with grease and fingerprints. Michael hesitated. Riley pressed it. Chapter 7, Level 3, The Factory. The elevator shuddered and opened into a vast, windowless factory full of conveyor belts and robotic arms. The floor was wet. Something dripped from the ceiling. No signs of life at first. Then a monitor lit up in the corner. Text scrolled across it. "Welcome to Level 3. Accessing personnel. Subject, Riley M//status, active. Subject, Michael H//status, unauthorized entry." Michael stepped back. "What the hell is this?" Riley stared at the screen. "They're watching." The room went silent. Then a klaxon blared. Red lights flooded the corridor. Steel doors slammed shut. A booming voice echoed. "Intruder detected. Purge initiated." Robotic legs emerged from the ceiling. Metallic creatures with blade-like appendages. Michael grabbed Riley's hand. "Run." They sprinted through conveyor belts, dodging machinery, and jumping over pipes. A metal claw slashed the air inches from Michael's face. Sparks flew. They found an access hatch and dove in just before the door slammed shut behind them. Chapter 8, In the Vents. They crawled silently, metal echoing with every movement. Riley's face was pale. Her arm had a long gash, blood soaking through her shirt. Michael ripped off his sleeve and tied it around her arm. She winced but didn't complain. "Thanks," she whispered. They stopped in a junction. Rested. Drank the last of their water. "I used to think I'd die with people," Riley said. "Not alone in metal walls." "You're not alone," Michael said softly. She looked at him for a long time, then nodded. Ahead, the vent sloped downward toward a pale hall of reflections. The green-lit hallway opened into a cathedral-like chamber filled with mirrors, hundreds of them lined on both sides of an impossibly long corridor. The floor was smooth, almost glass. The ceiling shimmered like water. "Level 4 messes with your head," Riley said. Her voice was tight. "The mirrors lie. Don't believe what you see. Don't talk to them." As they walked, Michael's reflection moved slightly out of sync. Then it smiled. He stumbled back. Riley grabbed his arm. "Eyes forward. Keep walking." Michael forced himself forward. Every mirror seemed to whisper his name. Some showed him alone. Others showed terrible futures, Riley dying. His own body crumpled and rotting. His family crying in a world where he never returned. One mirror showed his office, clean and warm. "I can go back," he whispered. "No, you can't," Riley snapped. "That's not real." He tore his eyes away and followed her down the corridor. Chapter 10, Hallucinations. The corridor shifted. Riley changed, her face twisted, her voice turned to static. Michael felt panic rising. "No, this isn't you." He blinked. The real Riley stood in front of him, frightened. "You almost walked into a trap." He looked back. The mirror showed a version of himself walking away alone, toward an endless void. They rested under a beam of steady light. Riley whispered, "Level 4 feeds off regret. It uses your worst memories." Michael nodded, trying to shake off the fog in his brain. "You okay?" she asked. "No. But I trust you." Chapter 11, The Room with Her Name. Far down the corridor, they found a room labeled Riley M. The door opened with a hiss. Inside were photographs, real ones, of Riley's life. Her childhood bedroom. Her mother's kitchen. Her college dorm. Riley stared, frozen. Michael looked to her. "Riley, this can't be here. I didn't tell anyone about these." Her voice cracked. "Not even online." Something moved behind the photographs. A shape. Familiar. Riley's mother. "Sweetie," the woman said. "You're safe now. You can come home." Riley stepped back. "You're not her. You're just another lie." The room collapsed. The walls shattered like glass. Behind them, the path forward opened. Riley looked at Michael. Her eyes were red. "They want us to give in. But I won't." He nodded. "Neither will I." They stepped forward, the Hotel of Whispers. When Michael and Riley emerged from the Hall of Reflections, they found themselves standing in a velvet-carpeted hallway. Golden sconces flickered on the wood-paneled walls. A sign at the far end read, "Welcome to the Monarch Grand. Check in anytime. Check out never." Level 5. Or as Riley called it, the Hotel of Whispers. The walls creaked softly as if the building breathed. They walked cautiously, passing door after door, each numbered, each silent. Sometimes a faint murmur leaked from within. Laughter. Weeping. Screams. Michael reached for one doorknob. Riley stopped him. "If you open one, you have to deal with what's inside. Don't. Just, don't." They kept walking. Eventually they reached the lobby, an enormous room with chandeliers and spiral staircases. At the center stood a man in a blood-red bellhop uniform. His eyes were black. "Room for two?" he asked, grinning too wide. "We're just passing through," Riley said. "Ah," the bellhop replied, "aren't we all?" Michael turned away, only for the lights to flicker. The door to the next level was behind the front desk, just barely visible in the gloom. "We go now," Riley whispered. Chapter 13, The Elevator That Lies. They pressed the button for the elevator, hoping it would bring them to the next level. The door opened to reveal a golden interior. No floor numbers. Just buttons labeled Remember, Forget, and Despair. Michael hovered his hand over the buttons. "What do we choose?" Riley's lips trembled. "We don't choose. We guess." He pressed Forget. The elevator dropped so fast Michael's stomach twisted. Then it stopped. The door slid open to darkness. Chapter 14, Level 6, Lights Out. Pitch black. No walls. No floor. No ceiling. Only cold. "Don't talk," Riley whispered. "It hears sound." Michael's breath fogged in front of him. There was no light source, yet he could barely make out shapes in the dark. Not things, people. Figures, crawling, whispering nonsense. They wandered for what felt like hours, navigating by soundless footsteps and touch. Every so often, something would scurry by, just past their legs. Then the screams began. From every direction. One whisper found them, "Give it your voice, and it will let you pass." Michael shook his head. Riley whispered, "No. That's how it feeds." Something lunged. Michael screamed. Everything turned white. Level 7, The Drowned World. The light returned, but only faintly. Michael and Riley found themselves knee-deep in water, cold, brackish, and endless. They stood on a submerged tile floor, the ruins of what looked like an indoor mall stretching beneath the surface. Broken escalators jutted up through murky depths. Fish with too many eyes darted between mannequins and broken display cases. "This is Level 7, Riley said. "The Drowned World. Don't drink the water. And if you hear something calling you under, it's not friendly." Every splash echoed. They waded through the submerged corridors, watching the black water for movement. Occasionally, they saw bodies floating, some old, bloated, others fresh. Riley wouldn't look at them. "Michael," she whispered at one point. "If I drown here, you leave me." "You're not going to drown," he said. "We'll find the exit." Then something moved beneath them. Large. Fast. A monstrous eel, 20 feet long, coiled up from a shattered drain. It had no eyes, only a gaping mouth and dozens of finger-like appendages. They ran, splashing, sliding across the wet tiles. The beast followed. They reached an emergency stairwell marked with rusted words. "Archive, access code required." The eel surged forward, then stopped. Michael held up a laminated keycard he had found in a floating wallet moments earlier. By chance or fate, it worked. The door opened. Chapter 16, Level 8, The Infinite Archive. The stairwell twisted, then expanded. They stepped into a library so vast it defied architecture. Endless rows of shelves stretched in every direction, each shelf labeled with bizarre symbols and names neither could read. "This is Level 8, Riley murmured. "The Infinite Archive. It holds memories. Real ones. Some from this world. Some from other ones." Michael approached a shelf with his name on it. Each book contained a memory from his life. He flipped through one, his 8th birthday. Another, the day he joined the VR company. Then one that hadn't happened yet, Riley's hand in his, both of them older, standing outside in the sun. "Are these futures?" he asked. "No," Riley said. "Possibilities. If we make it." Suddenly, the books shook. The creature from Level 0, the faceless stalker, emerged from a torn shelf. It had followed them. Michael and Riley ran, knocking over rows of books. They reached a spiral staircase. The creature howled behind them. As they descended, the lights dimmed. Riley fell behind. "Michael, go," she shouted. "I'm not leaving you." But the stairs twisted, and a wall rose between them. Riley screamed. Michael was alone. Level 9, Suburbia. Michael emerged from the infinite archive into a quiet cul-de-sac. Faux American homes with picket fences, manicured lawns, and white mailboxes stretched out before him. The sun hung low, eternally stuck in a golden hour that never dimmed. Children played in yards. Dogs barked. Sprinklers ticked. But none of it was real. When he stepped closer to a child, their face blurred into static. When he knocked on a door, a mannequin answered. The grass didn't bend beneath his feet. The clouds didn't move. And in every window, he saw the reflection of himself staring back. He wandered through streets that never ended, past clones of the same house over and over. Eventually, he found one with his name on the mailbox. Inside, his childhood home. Perfect. Preserved. And in the kitchen his mother. She turned, smiled, and said, "Michael, you're home." Tears welled in his eyes. "You're not real." "But I can be," she whispered. He nearly stayed. But the illusion broke when she glitched, her smile tearing too wide, her head twitching in loops. He fled. Chapter 18, Level 10, Forgotten Childhood. Beyond Suburbia was a field of tall grass, swaying beneath a red sky. Michael followed the only path, finding rusted playgrounds and fragments of memory. He saw a tricycle he'd owned as a child. Heard echoes of laughter. The scent of bubblegum and sunscreen filled the air. Then came the carnival. Bright lights blinked from a run-down fairground, its rides unmoving. The sound of carnival music played on a warped tape. Cotton candy booths stood abandoned. At the center, a funhouse mirror maze. He stepped inside and saw every version of himself, as a boy, as a man, as the person he would have become if none of this had happened. Then, a version with black eyes and blood down its chin. His reflection moved independently. "You're breaking," it said. "I'm surviving," he replied. The mirror shattered. When Michael looked down, he was holding the same shard his doppelganger had. Behind the last mirror, a wooden door stood waiting. Core access. Michael opened it. Level 11, the core. Michael stepped through the final door and found himself in an enormous, hollow chamber. The walls were obsidian black and pulsed with light, like a giant heart. Floating symbols swirled through the air, language that wasn't human, and yet he could somehow understand it. At the center was a pulsing sphere of raw energy, the core. And beside it stood Entity 0.2. Its body had evolved, taller now, more defined, an amalgamation of shadow and static. It didn't speak with a mouth but entered his mind directly. "You have come far." Michael clenched his fists. "Why? Why me?" "Because you see beyond the wall. Because you resist decay." He felt his thoughts being pulled, analyzed. The core seemed to be feeding off him memories of Riley, of home, of fear, and hope. Then, a ripple in the air. A voice. "Michael." "Riley." She stumbled into the chamber, bruised but alive. Entity 0.2 turned toward her. A second mouth formed, silent, grinning. Michael ran to her, catching her just before she fell. "How are you? I found a backdoor from the archive. It wanted me to forget you. But I couldn't." The core pulsed violently. Entity 0.2 raised a hand. The world trembled. "You can stay," it said. "Here, in the core. Forever. Safe. Unchanging." Michael looked at Riley. "No," he said. "We're leaving." The core shrieked. Chapter 20, The Exit. The moment Michael made his choice, the core began to collapse. Walls folded in on themselves. Gravity reversed. The swirling code of the backrooms tore loose from the structure of reality. Michael and Riley ran. Through collapsing doorways. Over glitching stairwells. Across gaps in logic and form. They reached a white hallway. No sound. No hum. Just light. At the end, a window. Real sunlight. Behind them, Entity 0.2 screamed not in rage, but sorrow. It wasn't evil. It had been alone. Michael stopped. "I'm sorry," he whispered. And he stepped through the window. Epilogue, after. Michael woke up in a hospital. He'd been missing for 3 weeks. The company's VR program had been shut down. No one knew how he survived. He said nothing. Riley. No trace. No record of her ever existing. But sometimes, he saw her reflection in shop windows. And sometimes, when he dreamed, he heard the hum of a fluorescent light. He knew the backrooms were still there. Waiting. Watching. Always one step behind the wall of our world. The end.